Hello, 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 awesome people. Sunday, it's time again. The girls are in the house and we are ready to talk about another very important element of our lives, which is having emotional intelligence and knowing how that applies to our daily lives. Before I bring my guest on, I am going to just turn around, get my guests to sit down and get comfortable and, have a sip of water or whatever. And then I'll bring her on. So let's just go and listen to something for a minute and then she'll be here. Okay?
Sika educate, yeah, what Facebook, YouTube, and Insta. Sika educate, yeah, Casafa, Abumde, our real impunto. Sika educate, or don't come up, Rana, yeah, who are true. Sika educate, Unyane, baby, Sika educate. It's like a page, you know, I am vibe. But more than YouTube, subscribe it. Sika educate is the name. All our man source and they come from inspiration, motivation, modern education. For Canada, when it's here, or don't come or Ekusika deba. For Canada, Bema Jai, or don't come or Ekusika deba. Sika educate, yeah, what Facebook, YouTube, and Insta. Sika educate, yeah, Casafa, Abumde, our real impunto. Sika educate, or don't come up, Rana, yeah, who are true. Sika educate.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I hope you guys are doing good. Sika in the house. I'm so excited on this gorgeous Sunday afternoon to be live with my very own big sister, mommy, everything, Ekwamwa in the house. And we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence and its importance and place in our daily lives. Okay. So without talking too much, without making it, long things, I'm just going to bring my sister on. The floor is yours, Ekwamwa. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Sika.
Hey, there you go.
Yes, hello. Hello, everyone. Wherever you might be, it's good afternoon in Mountain Standard Time. Good morning, and then good evening to everybody else around the world. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. And just as we promised, we're going to be continuing to share with everyone some of the things we want to change about ourselves in 2023, right, Sika?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. We want to change a lot about ourselves so that we can achieve all the great things that we have planned for the year 2023. So today we want to please before we start, if you can please share this conversation as well. If you are on, you can like the page, okay? Like it, especially those of you, if you're watching it on YouTube, please like, please comment, please interact with this conversation because we're here to learn from everyone, right? Both Sika and I are not we're not the best of in everything. We're not an expert in everything. So we can also learn from you, the audience, as well. So if you can please join us in the conversation once the link is shared as well. To come and share your experience and some of the things that you can also help others to overcome. Okay? And then also don't forget to Sika tap send. If you're sending money anywhere in the world to your loved ones abroad, if you're in diaspora, please use Sika's tap send. We want Sika to be a big ambassador in 2023. So please don't forget to use Sika's tap send. Download it. Even if you're not ready to send the money now, still download, okay? Still download the app and use Sika's code. Okay?
Yes. The
So
code is
please,
AKUSIKA. AKUSIKA. That's the promotion code. Ikuama, the floor is yours.
okay. So now we're going to dive into the thing, what we have for today. And today what we want to talk about is emotional intelligence. And the reason why I believe emotional intelligence is one of the key factors that we can work on to really improve who we are in any areas of our lives is because a lot of us are do not take emotional intelligence as we don't see the importance of it. We don't think it's important, right?
Yeah.
We don't see that it's important.
Yeah.
And I just want to share a story with some post that somebody did on Facebook the other day, and the person was saying that so he's been educated. He has his master's degree, and then now people are saying to him, "Oh, go get your PhD," right? But he told them he doesn't need his PhD, that he doesn't need all these education, but what he needs is to build himself up, right? So sometimes most of us, we want to achieve academic success, right? But we don't think about how we build ourselves in terms of our character, in terms of the basic skills that we need to really achieve a career that is in par with the education that we have. So when we want to talk about emotional intelligence, emotional intelligence is how we have a very high level of emotions that allows us to empathize with others, which allows us to communicate effectively, and also to have some sort of self-awareness, and also have the awareness of have some sort of social awareness. Okay, so somebody will be like, Roberta, how? And what do you mean? I'm very, very aware. I know how to communicate, and I know how to socialize. Yes, you might think that you have the ability to socialize, you have the ability to communicate, or you have the ability to really empathize with people. But today, I just want to open our eyes, okay? And a typical example is, how do you react when you apply for a job and you don't get it? I want you to write down what your reactions are. Maybe you apply for a job, you got a job interview, and you were so confident that you get the job. How do you react? Okay. The next thing also is that think about how you react. Let's say you go to the workplace, whether you are just a general worker or whether you work in the corporate settings, and then let's just stick with something like maybe you're a cleaner, okay? And then the office that you are cleaning, they come to you and then they say to you, "Oh, there's no toilet paper in the dispenser. There's water on the floor. The place is really messy." How do you react? And for us Africans, I want to even take it a step further. The person who comes and tells you there's water on the floor, there's no dispenser, that person is old enough to be your child, or old enough to be your younger sister. How do you react? Reaction has not to be. Emotional intelligence is not only about what you're going to say, your posture, your body language, right? Or you're in a corporate setting and then your boss comes to you and says that, "Oh, they need you to do this project now." Meanwhile, your boss maybe told you that you have 1 month completed. Now they come to tell you that this has now become a sense of urgency. How do you react,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
So those type of reaction is very, very important. And how we respond to ourselves, how we respond to the people around us and the environment, all of these combined is part of our emotional intelligence. Let's go into the level of relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
You're married,
Mhm.
and then your spouse says something to you, or you're trying to, let's say, maybe you're married, you want to go to school, and then you tell your spouse that this is what I want to do. How they respond to you, and let's say maybe they respond to you that you've already packed like 3 degrees already, we still have not seen result from that 3 degrees. How do you respond to that?
Mm.
Right?
Mhm.
And for most of us, especially in the African settings, you say something to someone and they say, oh, God forbid. Most people don't know that thing is also a way, for us to really show our emotional intelligence. Okay.
Mhm.
So we're going to talk about the 5 components of emotional intelligence. And one of the first one is self-awareness. Okay.
Mhm.
So self-awareness talk about how you are able to recognize your feelings and how your emotions and actions affect others. What you say to people and how you make them feel around you. Okay? So someone coming to you and telling you as the cleaner, oh, there's water on the floor, there is no toilet paper. How you look at the person? Do you look down on them? You don't say anything to them, but the way you give them that eye,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
How would they make that person feel? The way your posture, will that person next time, if that is happening, will that person, your self-awareness will tell you next time if such incident happen, will that person come back and talk to you again? Or that person will find somebody else to talk to? So when we talk about self-awareness, that is what that means, right? Self-awareness. Or your boss that's pressuring you that something is urgent, and then you don't look happy about it, or the way you respond, right? So that is, would next time if there's an urgent project, would you be considered, right? So that is that self-awareness. So that's why I said write down your reaction, right? How do you react to those circumstances, right? So that is your self-awareness. And the next thing is your self-regulation. How do you regulate and manage your emotions when you are waiting for the appropriate time or avenue to express yourself, right? So sometimes people get us upset.
Yes.
And when you are so upset, how do you control yourself? Or that somebody says a mean word to you, you find the need and the necessity that you must show them that you got words. Or somebody is being subtle with you, you must you find ways to be very subtle with the person, instead of you exercising what we call that so-called self-awareness, right? And regulating yourself so that you don't escalate the situation, whereby the person says A and you said A, B, C, D, E, right? And then that person will now continue. By the time you're done, you finish all the alphabet, all the letters of the alphabet, and then you are already already now doing phonics, right? So it's very important. So self-regulation when it comes to emotional intelligence, right? And the next thing is motivation. What motivates you? Is it money? Is it fame? Is it success? Right? So ability for you to understand what motivates you also helps you in exercising good emotional intelligence. So for example, if you are somebody that the only thing that motivates you is negative news, and when I say negative news is that the only time you are happy is when somebody is gossiping about how someone failed at something. that is what makes that is exactly who you are. You are somebody who is only motivated. Your emotional intelligence is it's only when negative things are happening, right? Or are you the person who is always motivating people positively? Are you the one that's always happy when great things are happening both in your life, in the lives of people around you? Or are you the one that is always aspiring for greatness, aspiring for success, aspiring for things that really bring about change in people's lives, right? So if you're someone, if you really want to succeed in life, if you really want to achieve a lot in your lifetime, then you really have to be aware of what your motivation is. Every day when you wake up in the morning, what is your motivation? Because the way you even sit down, how you comport yourself, how your whole body, right?
Yeah.
It shows who the type of motivation, how you yourself as an individual, who you are emotionally, right? You don't even need to talk, right? Is so we need to be very, very careful, because they will help us understand our desire, right? And the needs, and it will also help us in achieving our goals. And the fourth thing is empathy. Empathy. A lot of us really struggle with empathy, right? So if you have empathy, like, I don't really know how to explain this. Like, most of the time, people go through circumstance, and some of us, when we hear that, and forgive me, I want to use Ghana slang here. Hey, me dear, to me, oh, that's not exercising empathy.
I have the perfect example for you. Finish.
Or they will say, God forbid. Like, God forbid, not for me, oh, I will not. Somebody is just going through a severe case of emotional abuse or physical abuse, and the best thing, you can't empathize with the person. Instead, you look down on the person. Sometimes you're not saying it by your emotion, the way you will do your face, the way you throw away your hand, the way you look at the person. People are going through mental distress, right? And the way you will look at the person and all those things. So empathy, if you need to, you have to be able to understand what others might be feeling or what you are going through, and you need to be able to respond kindly and thoughtfully. Okay, kindly and thoughtfully. That's why we have people, they will see you, oh, you are 30 something, when are you going to have children? My dear, you are not exercising emotional intelligence. Oh, you've been married for 5 years, hey, still no children, when are the children coming? Oh, instead of spending money, why you're always looking so beautiful? You should go and have children. And and even sometimes people will say, oh, and maybe their child is doing something, and then you are making suggestions, maybe it's because maybe you've read it somewhere, or somebody has told you this is what they're doing for their child and it's working for them. Then the first thing they'll say is, now, right? So, and I'll say this in English, you don't have any children, so how do you know? How can you tell? If you don't have any children, so don't give us advice. You're not being empathetic. You're not being understanding. You're not being thoughtful. And most of us, we really need to be able to express empathy. And then going back, especially if you are in the corporate world, or wherever you are in your workplace, okay, you see that your maybe like your co-worker due to some reason that you cannot understand, is not pulling their weight for work. Don't be the one that goes and tell everybody that that person, oh, that person has not even finished a project. That person is this. That person is not coming to work. You're not being empathetic. Instead, you should be the person that's going to be saying that, oh, is there anything I can help you with? Or at least be there for the person. A good morning. How are you doing? How's your family? That's how you also exercise what? Empathy to people around you in your corporate world. Because sometimes even your own managers, they might be going through divorce. They might be going through separation. Your children might be going through things that's affecting their job performance. But don't think that because they're your managers, they're not humans as well, right? So you need to extend empathy, right? And even if you're a manager, there's somebody that's one of your employees, they are going through something, and because of that, they're lacking behind with work. That's not the time for you to start picking on them. Mm-hmm. By picking on them, you're not exercising, you're not showing any form of empathy. And that does not show good emotional intelligence, right? So empathy is very, very vital and is very, very key. So Sika, you said you had an example, so I'll let you interject here.
Yes, because this is something that I've faced on quite a regular basis in different aspects of life. So as my sister was saying, I have a boss. I'll use that as I have lots of examples, but I'll use this one for example. He was my previous boss, and we had a very good relationship, professional relationship, but it went into being able to exchange things that were going on in each other's lives and, support and encourage each other. And for a long time, I hadn't heard from him. And he came to mind, and I just thought, oh, let me just use the opportunity that it's a new year to just send him a message. How are you doing? I haven't heard from you. Happy New Year. May 2023 be all that you want it to be. Oh boy. He had been sick. So many things had happened, and he was just looking for that somebody that he could share it with. Like, you guys know that a burden shared is a burden halved. It's not everybody that everybody feels that they have a connection with, to be able to pour out their hearts to, be able to confide in with what they're going on. It's a very difficult time. We're on the back of COVID. And yes, COVID came and went, but we're still suffering the consequences of COVID in our finances. Like, life is difficult in every part of the world. That is the one. So as soon as I reached out to him, he told me everything. I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know this had happened. And I listened. We went back and forth. And it's fine again. It's like, oh, so somebody actually cares. Like, there's somebody that I work with that has thought about me. And the fact that I haven't been present, because he's normally the one who would message you. How comes I haven't heard from you all week, right? That is one. Number two, this whole thing about being empathetic. We as African people in our community, we lack this thing so much. Imagine, I went for a wedding about 6 years ago in Ghana. One of my siblings got married. We're all there. And then right there in the midst of people, can you imagine? Like, there's lots of people around, people I know, people I don't know, friends, family, like, we're all there. Not all of my siblings' friends are my friends. And some of them, I don't even know them, right? And there's quite a big gap between us in age. So I'm not going to know all her friends. All of a sudden, it's like, so you're in your 40s and you're still walking around. I'm not seeing any ring on your finger. And to make it even worse, look at all your other siblings. They all have children. What are you waiting for? It wasn't so much what the person said that hurt, but it was the place and the time and the people that were around. Like, it's none of anybody's business what I have done with myself, but to publicize that, it hurt so much. And it's been years, but I still remember. I remember what the person was wearing. I remember how it was said and everything. And the reason is just the person lacked empathy. In the first place, it's none of your business whether I'm married or I have children or I don't have children. And number two, that's just not the place to be talking about that. Example number three, you've gone for a funeral. Somebody has just lost their mom, their dad, their loved one. Doesn't matter. And you've come, you claim that you've come to come and empathize with the bereaved family. Whilst people are sat around, those who are crying, other people are asking, oh my God, what happened? He was such a young guy, or whatever, I just saw him last week. That person has now chosen that at this funeral, he's now going to prove himself. Yes. And this person, when we were younger, he should have taken care of me, and he didn't take care of me the way he should have done, and he took care of those other people. Is this the correct place for you to be having that kind of conversation when there are all kinds of people around? Is this the place to be washing your dirty linen in public? Do you know? It's terrible. It's really, really bad, right? But that's how we behave. That is our nature. That is we Africans in general. It's not even just a Ghanaian issue. It's an African problem. We don't have feelings to be able to put ourselves in other people's shoes. This thing that I'm going to say to Ekwuamwa, how is she going to feel? Like, if I was in her place, how would I feel? You meet somebody in town, you probably haven't seen them for a very long time. And all of a sudden, when you see them, maybe they've lost so much weight, the way you remembered them. Maybe they look like me, and now they look like that. Your reaction, oh my God, look at how lean you've become. What is wrong with you? That whole attitude and the way you behave, it affects the person. It's like, oh, like what happened? You kill somebody's spirit just by one sentence that you said, or your body language. The reverse is also true. You haven't seen somebody for a very long time. You meet them and they've put on weight. You don't know what's going on in their life. You are judging. You're always eating. Look at you. You're always eating. See, I told you, look at what is happening. See, how do you know that it's food that has made the person like that? And even if it was, how is that your business? One, do you feed them? Are you the one buying them the food? No. So why is it your business? It could be that the people are sick. Guys, so many things happen. People have hormonal issues that make them put on weight. The person might be on some kind of medication that is making them gain weight. You don't know. Why is it your business? Like, why? Why is it your business? And we Africans, that's the way we are. Instead of minding the things that affect us, like in your daily life, the Bible says, take the log out of your own eyes. You see my eyes? Take the log out of it first so that you can see clearly, right? To take the speck out of somebody else's. We're so quick to talk about everybody and their dog without thinking about our own selves, right? And what the person brings to the table. You're in a company and you have a boss. You're part of a team. Your team is saying, your boss is saying to you that we're going to be focusing on this project. When Ekwuamwa was talking about the different aspects of emotional intelligence, I was just laughing, right? And the person has told you that you have a month within which to complete the project. Things happen. Priorities change. And as a human being, you need to be somebody that embraces change as part of life. Today, you can have a mother. Tomorrow, God forbid, your mom cannot be here anymore. It happens. It's life, right? I remember as a kid that I had a classmate that I loved so much, and then we finished school one day. And I'm not saying this to be horrific, but I'm just using it as an example that things can go dreadfully wrong and dreadfully and rightfully right too sometimes, but it's just change. And it happens to the best of us. We said goodbyes to each other. I said to her, I'll see you tomorrow. 5 minutes later, she was under a truck. It happens. It's part of life. We all just lost a friend just like that. 10 minutes she was stood next to me, and 10 minutes later she was 6 foot under. I was 12. Like, I will never forget this in my life. It happens. It is part of life. But, being able to have the awareness of who you are with your emotions is absolutely vital. And we lack that in our community so much. A lot of us are very reactive people. Everything we see, instead of taking just 10 seconds to close your eyes and think through what you're going to do. No. Many of us, the thing is happening. It means we have to react to the situation there and then. Your husband comes back home, he opens the door, he bangs it, and he starts shouting. So it means you must also shout back. Where do you think this whole thing is going to end? It's not an easy thing to do, but I'm saying, like, if you're both reactive people, this person says, and I also have to say something back, and then where is this going to end up? If the person talks and you're quiet, they keep going off and off and off, and you're quiet, and you walk away from the situation, guess what? You would have diffused the whole fire. You make noise and make noise. You shout and rant and rave. There was no reaction. So they have to keep quiet. Later on, when the dust settles, when there is calm and quiet, you can put the person to one side and say, my friend, what was wrong with you? This, that happened. And then you can resolve the issue. When she was talking about you're a cleaner, I laughed in my head because I had this very thing happen to me about 5-6 years ago when I worked in England. I worked in a government organization, and it had a lot of elderly, African women that would clean the place up at the end of the day. Now, they will show up, and if you had to work late whilst they were cleaning around the place and you had to use the washroom, they hated you so much. I don't know what they were expecting me to do, like keep the urine inside or put it in a plastic bag or pee in my handbag. I don't know. But every time you had to use the washroom, they were so upset. And they'll be cussing you in all kinds of funny languages, giving you the eye up, that roll their eyes at you and all of that. And if you made that mistake of ever saying that, somebody made a mess in cubicle X, or that we've run out of loo paper, toilet paper, or whatever. And a lot of them didn't know, because some of them were actually Ghanaian. They didn't know that I could speak the local dialect. So they were saying all kinds of things, right? Without knowing that I understood half of what they were saying. Look at this one. She thinks she's old enough to be my child, and she's sitting here giving me orders and instructions. I'm not giving you no orders. I'm just saying that, please, because this is what you're supposed to be doing. And we need this thing to be able to cope and function. So can you please do this? I've even come to you in all humility, but people are still upset. And then they don't understand how they have bosses that are half the age. And this small girl, what does she think she knows? Look at this girl that I am old enough to be her mom, and she's the one ordering me about and telling me what to do. But she didn't ask you to come apply for that job. You applied for the job because you need a means of survival. So why should you care whether the person that you're taking instructions from is older than you, younger than? I've had bosses that I'm, gazillion years older than. Who cares? They are my boss. I need to eat. That is why I applied for the job. Who cares who it is? If it's a dog, who cares? Like, you are just there to do your job. So do your job. And we need to do self-regulation. That is the whole thing about your husband comes home and he's shouting and raving. Your self-regulation is not to buy into his anger and go boot for boot with anger, because maybe you can do what he's doing 10 times better than he can, but it may end up in one of you being 6 foot under. Where is the sense in that? So when somebody is being silly, the other person has to be quiet, because the other person has the self-awareness and emotional intelligence to be quiet. Because if you add kerosene to this fire, where is it going? But a lot of us don't ask ourselves these kinds of questions. And the point about motivation, that you're excited when other people are suffering. Ekuamua's husband is beating her. Good. Serves her right. He should beat her some more. Why are you happy about something like that? That means you yourself, there's something about you, right? That needs to be checked. The last point I'll raise here is that Ekuamua comes to me, considers me her confidant for whatever reason. And she's telling me, oh, my darling, this is what is going on. This has happened. That has happened. This happened to me. That happened to me. If you're emotionally intelligent enough, you should be humbled that somebody is going through a thing and has been able to see you, a fellow human being, as the one that they can pour out their hearts to, be raw to, and say how they're feeling in the core of their beings too. To me, that opportunity for people to confide in me, I actually see it as a privilege rather than a right or something that you have to use as, kind of like you've got one on them, so that when something happens, you can now use that thing against them to bring them down. But that is how we are. You can see two people who are friends today. Ekuamua and I are sisters, right? She'll come and tell me all this thing. I also tell her what's going on in my life. And one day, for whatever reason, we're not talking to each other anymore. Let's say I've traveled, I've gone back to England and she's here. Oh, now that I'm not here, out of sight, out of mind. So all those things that person told you back then, that she told you, that I'm only telling you this because you're my confidant. You break that and go and tell people that. How many friends haven't we seen? Best of friends. They're all over the place, inseparable. They wear the same clothes. They speak the same language. They do everything together. One little thing happens and there's a misunderstanding, and that's the opportune time for the other person to think, now I'm going to tell the whole wide world the color of your nyash and how your knickers have holes in them, and how you and your husband, you don't even have money. It's my house that you come to eat in every day. Just so that you can discredit that person and make them feel lowly of themselves. I could go on and on and on and on. You guys have seen the passion with which I talk about these things. But emotional intelligence and the lack of it is a huge, huge problem in our community. And I really am grateful that my sister is here to talk about some of these issues, because we actually do need to do a reality check on ourselves. If we want to be people that are credible, that people are going to take seriously and want to do anything in this life with. It's not just about, personal relationships or anything like that, but even in your workplace, with everything, that we're going to be people that people would take seriously. You can tell, our Caucasian partners anything, and they will listen, they will do whatever, they move on. They don't have time to now go and be gossiping about this person did this. But we use it to destroy each other. Absolutely appalling and very disappointing. Ekuamua, the floor is yours.
I actually want to go back to Sika, what you just said right now. One of the things that I will say is that even most people think that going to school and being so smart is what's going to help them to succeed in life. Okay? Studies have shown, and this is one of the reasons why emotional intelligence was actually brought about. They found out that there were people that had high IQs, but they had, in terms of success rate, their success rate and their IQ did not match. So when they did studies and they realized that, how come you see these C average people who are like C, they barely passing school, and these people are more successful than people who actually have passed school, like, have PhDs and have all those things. And the difference between the two was emotional intelligence. So that shows you how important it is. And if you really look at a lot of big people that we know today, most of them did not finish school, right? Even if we look at we go back to Africa, you sit down, you realize that the people who are so rich, so successful, some of them don't even know how to speak English, right? And I'm just even want to go back to us Ghanaians. They were like, oh, where do you want to brofo? You know, but this man is a multi-millionaire. So it gets to show you he's a multi-millionaire because he has a high level of emotional intelligence. He knows how to react to people. He knows how to respond to urgency, to needs, right? He knows how to self-regulate, self-reflect. He knows how to show empathy. Because, you know, one of the things people don't know is that when you show empathy, what it allows you to do is that after you showed empathy, you think about, oh, how can I help? So then you become more solution-oriented, right? And that's why you see people who solve problems and are multi-millionaires is because some of these skills they have is empathy, right? So it's very, very, very important that we don't take this information for granted. This is very, very vital. No matter who you are, whether you were a nurse, whether you were a cleaner, whether you were a stay-at-home mom, whether you were an engineer or a husband, a wife, it's very, very important that we take these points very seriously. And the last component, which is the fifth component of, and which is my most favorite thing, is social skills. Social skills. Social skills are very, very vital. And you know what? I actually want to talk to parents who might be listening to us, no matter where you are in the world, especially the ones in the diaspora. It's important that your children build social skills. If not, you're going to pay for it. Okay? So social skills are very vital to your emotional intelligence. Okay? And why do I say that? If you are not able to interact with people in any social settings, it's going to be hard for you to really be successful in life. And how do you do that? You do that by putting yourself out there. Because most people you're not aware of their own feelings. And as a result, they're also not aware of other people's feelings and they're not able to communicate. Okay? And because of that, they're not able to interact with others. And so some people say somebody is socially awkward. You're socially awkward because when you are around people, you want to hide yourself. You don't want people to see you. You don't want people to know you, right? Those are all things that is affecting your ability to really move on in life. And some of us, I would tell you that there was a program that I went to, and at the program, there was a whole bunch of different kids around. And one of the observations that I made is that when it comes to the more Western, Caucasian counterpart, the kids, they were much more bolder to take on the group task that was given and talk to each other to find solutions to solve the problems. When it came to the other kids, they were all sitting there looking at each other's face. Nobody wanted to take the initiative. Nobody wanted to interact, to be the one to say, okay, so where do we start? Okay, so what should we do, right? Socially, they were awkward. They didn't even know, they couldn't even say, oh, what's your name? All of those things. That's why you see, I'm like, so because you lack that social skills, you're always going to feel left out. Because you lack that social skills, you're not able to express yourself, communicate effectively with the people around you. You're not able to share your ideas, right? And there's no such thing as a bad idea, right? And most of us, I would say, especially when it comes to some of these culture, like especially we in the Ghanaian culture, they'll be like, oh, that person doesn't know only reason you're capable for. And because you put that in your mind that you don't know how to express yourself in the English language properly, you don't want to communicate. And then you hide yourself. But the problem is that even though you're not communicating, people can still read you. They can read you that you're not confident in what you're doing. They can read you that you are incompetent in what you're doing. That is why most people will they come to the diaspora, they start work, and 3 months later, they lose their job. Or they'll be working, it's not long, the next you see, they get fired. Because your social skills, you lack it. And because you're emotionally intelligent that displays that social skills, you are always hiding. You don't want to say anything. You don't want to contribute. You don't want to. I once had a friend, and we always used to, a co-worker, former co-worker, and whenever we would go, this was so many years ago, whenever we would go for meetings, she'll be yapping. She always has to say something, even if it's not relevant to what was it was that whatever she wanted to talk about was not part of the meeting. So one day I go to her and I said, Madam, why are you always saying something? You know what she told me? She said, Roberta, if you don't say anything, they will think that you're not ready to contribute anything to help the team. But because she had that social skills, that social ability, she communicates that. So everybody then, at that time now, everybody will now look at her, pay attention to her. She's able to now display her confidence, right? She's able to display that she's a valued member of the team. So when it comes to layoff, she's already displayed that. But you come and then you just want to hide. When they say, oh, time for today, we are going out to dinner at 5 p.m. at Joey's. You just calculate. When we go now, we'll say we'll buy food, one plate, $30. I have to have drink. Maybe drink. By the time I'm done, $50. At that $50, it can make a goosey pounded yam that I can eat for one whole week.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
My dear, you lack that side of social skills. It's not about the money. You've not thought it through. It's the ability to be able for you to be aware of the people you are working with, the ability to be able to read them, to understand them in your comfort, a place of comfort, right? And the ability for you to interact with them. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, these are all vital skills that we must have. Self-awareness, self-regulation, your motivation, empathy, and your social skills. Now, how can we improve on some of these skills? We've talked about it, in terms of relationship, in terms of marriage, in terms of even our children. Some of us, and I really love children, so I really want to emphasize on it. Some of us, we don't engage our children outside of the school. They come from school to home, home to school, school to home. You don't put them in dance class. You don't put them in a self-confidence class. You don't put them in the debate class. You don't put them in chess. You don't put them in soccer. You don't put them in hockey. You don't put them in basketball. You don't allow them to join a reading club. Just home, nothing, zero. So now that child will grow up and that child will not have any sense of belonging. They have not built any skill. The only thing they know how to do is be pressing some sort of tablet that you have or computer that you have. My dear, your child is not going to be working with computer in the future for the rest of their lives. They might have to go and stand in a boardroom and share an idea. They might have to go out there on the field and work with someone. And because they've not been under a coach, or they've not been under another authority, submitting to another authority, they don't understand. Because if you go for football or you're going for soccer, you know you have to show up on time, wear uniform, have your shoes. You know you might get hurt. You have to take risk. You know you have to win and lose. You know you have to be there for your team, right? So all of those things are building your child's emotional intelligence. So please don't go and build 5 houses in Ghana and come and brag about it, or build 10 houses in Nigeria and brag about it. Meanwhile, your child is only moving from school to home, school to home. You're not helping yourself in the future. You're also not helping your child. Anything you invest in your child, it's not only for your child. I always say to parents, if you are old and your child is able to live a life that is independent of you, that in itself is a blessing. If they're not able to do extra things for you, that one is abundant blessing, right? So your goal as a parent is to make sure that you are building them up so that they will be independent of you in the future, right? So let's take these social skills. Let's see how it's lacking in the lives of our children. Home to school does not mean your child is the best. You need to help them to build that aspect of their own emotional intelligence. Because if your child does not know how to lose, in the future, when things are not going well for them, what will they do? They will slack. They will fall into depression because they've never known failure. They've never known how to lose before, right? And they become emotionally overwhelmed about everything around them because you've not allowed them to really face that as a young child, right? And because maybe we didn't have that opportunity, doesn't mean that we shouldn't give that opportunity to our own children as well. So now I'm just quickly going to go through how we can improve our emotional intelligence. So that one, I'm just going to give 5 key points, okay? Number 1, and I know I spoke about this earlier, pay attention to yourself, okay? You have to know how you respond to things, how you react when others speak, okay? Make sure you're not rushing to judgment. Be an active listener, okay? Your facial expression, your body language, all of those things, all of how you, as Sika was saying, people, because you ask them to, there's no toilet paper in the room, then they start insulting you in their own dialects. You start talking. And even if the person does not understand your language, the person will know that you don't like what they told you. The person doesn't need to understand your language to know that, right? So, and always stay away from expressions and things that are very negative, things that are not don't always misinterpret people's words, right, as they want to attack you, or they want to ambush you, or they want to undermine you. You got to be very, very conscious of that, right? So the other thing also is that please use positive language. So if your boss comes to you and say, hey, Sika, I know I gave you 1 month for this project, but now something has come and this is an urgency. You shouldn't be start saying, how you say all sort of stories. You say, okay, sure, I'm going to work on it right away. I'm going to start working on it right away. That's it. That is being positive, right? So what you say, or your thoughts and actions, we talked about this, it affects how people feel. And it also is reflective of how you express yourself in your body language, right? So, and how you control your environment. So use positive language. And if you want somebody who is always using negative language, you can do all those affirmation things that people do, right? Because Positive language also affects your self-esteem. So if you're struggling, right, find things that inspires you to stay positive. Always, you had a setback. Oh, then you're beating down on yourself. No, you pick up yourself and you start running. So using positive language is very, very important. Okay. The next thing is we always want to keep going. When we fall, we pick ourselves up and we keep, even if we have to crawl. Somebody say, even if you have to crawl over broken bottles, I will. Right. And those are the things that you have to say to yourself. Right? Just because you did something, your boss was not happy with it, doesn't mean you have to start looking for another job. Why are you firing yourself before you even got fired? You made a little mistake. You made a mistake here and there. Somebody talked about it. That you carry it, you are thinking about it. They don't like me in this workplace. You are racist. You are this. My boss hates me. Then you keep replaying it in your mind over and over and over again. Instead of you to say, you know what? Well, how can I do it better? How can I fix this problem? Can you help me fix it? Because I don't know what I did wrong, right? You need to keep on going. Just because you experience one setback does not mean that you have to stay where you are. The other thing, especially most of us we don't do, and which one leads to hypertension. We need to watch our stress level, okay? We sometimes, a lot of us, we invite stress into our own lives unnecessarily. Stressing, you are in abroad, you are barely making it, but you want to go carry problems that you cannot take. Now you end up doing 3 jobs because you want to please people all around the world. In the end, you are stressed, you are not sleeping, you are being sleep deprived. Sleep is very vital for your emotional intelligence. The average person should be getting at least 8 to 9 hours of sleep every day. So if you are working 3 jobs, when are you going to sleep? You are stressed. Anybody say anything to you, you burst out because you're not sleeping, right? So we need to work on our stress level. You need to take break. You need to do activities that relaxes you. If you are into meditation, somebody will say, oh, but I'm a Christian. No, even if you're a Christian, you can meditate by listening to worship music, right? Or you can listen to some hymns that is being played classically. Just sit down for 10 minutes, go for a walk, do 30 minutes walk, do something to really relax you. Don't take on responsibility. Don't be the person that carries the whole family. You want to be Father Christmas for your whole family. Even Father Christmas cannot give gift to everybody around the world. How much more you? Just because they stamp your passports does not mean you are Father Christmas. Some of us, we need to examine ourselves, right? And we don't need to go and build them one huge mansion in one village so that everybody will know that we too, our passport has been stamped, right? Unnecessary stress that will lead to hypertension. Hypertension, if you don't take time, will lead to lead you to the early grave. So watch your stress level. And the last thing I want to talk about is show compassion, empathy, right? Empathy, show compassion. Always look for ways where you can show compassion and empathy to others, even when you feel like they don't deserve it, right? And if you've offended someone and you need to ask for forgiveness, do it as well. It's for your own good. Don't hold people in your heart. Don't hold your mom in your heart. Don't hold your ex-wife, your ex-husband. Don't hold them in your heart. Your ex-boss. Don't hold people in your heart. Don't be thinking about it. Like, it's very, very important because you're not God to be holding on to people, because those things are what is affecting you and preventing you for you achieving that good emotional intelligence that you need. And sometimes people don't know some of our ego. Somebody has been cleaning, and the person has been doing cleaning, and the person is a multi-millionaire. You You don't want to, because you have masters, you don't want to clean. You go to the office and they say, oh, we all had potluck here. Can we all clean? You don't want to participate because you are better than everybody else. No. Somebody is a cleaner and the person is a multi-millionaire. Somebody cleans gutters and make millions of dollars by cleaning gutters in the abroad. Somebody cleans people's vents. They put their van and they clean people's vents, remove people's weeds, rake people's gardens, cut people's grass. Someone shovel people's snow. You know, last time somebody was telling me about an app that you log on, and then if you need someone to shovel your snow or cut your grass, they just like then they will dispatch someone in your neighborhood to come and cut your grass or whatever that you need help with. They will just dispatch the person, right? Somebody is making money out of that because the person knows how to exercise emotional intelligence. They are not above, they don't see themselves as above anybody. They do not look down on anything, any profession. They don't say, oh, because me, I've read book from here to Takwa, so I'm incapable of doing anything. Most of us, we are not thriving, especially in the abroad, mostly because of emotional intelligence. We don't want to do anything because we say we are crutchy or we are a rabba. No. By the time you realize the person who is the least educated among you has moved forward more than you have because they know how to make money. They know how to learn something. The other time I was talking to someone, the person's like, I want to learn how to do drywall. I'm like, master, I thought that you are an engineer. So don't worry, forget about that. Me, I'm going to go look for drywall job and learn how to do drywall. At least if I learn for 3 months, I know I'll master it. And soon I can be doing drywall part-time. That is knowing, these are all part of the things that enhances who we are. You know, don't make yourself easily dispensable. Most of us, we are holding on to that little skill that we know, just one thing that we know. And because of that, in our workplaces, when it's time to lay people off, we are the first to go. Because we don't know anything else other than the degree that we have learned. No. If you want to be the kind of person that they don't easily fire you, you have to build your social skills, be very, very empathetic, and then how to really regulate your emotions, right? And then one of the things I would say about showing compassion goes back to the fact that you see that your coworker is going through something, and as a result of that, the job that they're supposed to do, they're not able to do it. So you go to them and say, and meanwhile, you know that you're on top of your work. You can always ask your boss, so and so said they need help. Their workload is overwhelming. Is it okay if I take 1 or 2 of their files or 3 of their things they're working on? And your boss will say, maybe your boss will be like, okay, sure. If only you can do it. You go to your coworker and say, oh, I would like to help you. Can you show me how I can help you? What are you doing? Now you are learning another skill that your coworker that you didn't know before. So maybe you might not even get promotion in that same office, but you can now take that skill and apply for a job somewhere else that can give you extra money. That is what showing compassion, because number one, you have to show compassion in order for you to be able to be wanting to help someone, right? So we should not just get up and go. Some of you are nurses, your coworker calls you and say, oh, can you take my shift or can I swap shift with you? Because you didn't like what they said to you. You know that you can do that shift for them, but you will never do it. How are you showing emotional intelligence by doing that? Me, I'll not shift with you. That one was last time was rude. Didn't even greet me. That one so rude, right? So these are the things I want us to think about, right? I want us to really think about it. If we really want to succeed, if we really want to make a mark on our generation, if we really want to do great things in our lives, in order to bring success, in order to bring money, income to us, every skill you earn is an income. Every skill you learn is an income that you're waiting to collect.
God bless you, my darling. Yeah. Go ahead.
No. You can come in.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is to touch on two things that Auntie Ya and Life's Dilemma, they've both made similar points. And that point is that Auntie Ya says that I think we are so caught up in our cultural scripts, the cultural scripts that we're raised with, and we come outside and don't fully want to integrate into our new environments. We don't seem to realize how this impacts our children and our families, the people around us. And Life's Dilemma also said that our community just repeats generational behaviors. And just to buttress what my sister Kwamwa was saying is that, back in our African setting, some of the things, the limiting beliefs that we as children were raised with include things like the child is always wrong, the parent or the adult is always right. And so as children in the African setting, you're barely ever listened to. I am grateful that I had a family where we were taught to be respectful to our elderly. But when we sat at our dining table and we're eating and talking and everything, we, the children, were also heard. When we expressed, an opinion about something, or we said that we didn't like something, the first reaction is not to say, you better shut up over there. What do you know? No. The parents had the emotional intelligence enough to listen to what is the person actually saying? What is the child actually saying? You have a child, the child says, oh, they pick on me at school. What do you do in school? What have you been doing in school that is making people pick on you? I'm sure when you go to school, you don't listen to your teacher. You don't this. This is why people pick on you. But have you actually taken the trouble to really understand what is this child saying? Could it possibly be that the child is being bullied in class because of the way she looks or he looks, or for some other reason? Have you taken the trouble to go to the actual school to figure out what is happening? No. How many of us even bother to go to children's parent evenings and things? We're so busy working the 2, the 3, the 5 jobs and the overtimes of this life that we don't make time for the other things that are necessary. And sometimes when I say things like I'm about to say, some people get really up in arms and upset with me. But being intentional in your life includes and encompasses everything. Some of us behave as if we had children because Ekwamwa has children, Auntie Ya has children, Mr. George has children. So therefore, I should also have children. You're not just having the children because it's some kind of a competition that everybody is in. So let me also do it. It's that time of my life. It's a rite of passage. When you are born, you become a man or a woman, and then you grow up. And when you finish school, the next natural progression is you have to be married. After marriage, it's children. No. Are you actually ready? Do you even understand what the vocation of parenthood, what it actually means? Because the people that are real parents understand that having children is a sacrificial job. It's not something that you just do as a box ticking exercise. The Bible says that we should multiply. So you are just multiplying without knowing the full implications of this multiplication that you're doing. That is the first thing. Another limiting belief is that you mustn't talk. You have to be quiet. You have to take the backstage all the time. And so we've become these very timid people that don't even know who we are. We don't want to have a voice. We can't express ourselves. We are just there. When things are happening around you, your solution, your idea might be something that will change something going on all around you. You just go and sit there. When it's Bible study in your church, you're sitting there like a poor church mouse in the corner and not allowing people to hear what you're saying. In the workplace, when they're talking about an issue, you just have your hands to your chin. Some people are not even interested. They are playing and fidgeting with your phone. People are watching you. And the decisions, the bigger decisions that would affect you and impact you are all being made by the way that you are behaving. My sister said something about, having social skills and being a team player. That is what she was trying to say. Be a team player. You have people, you work in a team. Maybe once every quarter or whatever, they go out and sit down and have drinks. Maybe they go to a bar. Some of us holicize everything and make it as if, as for us, we don't even use the washroom. Like we don't clean our nyash with toilet paper. I mean, stop holicizing and making yourself this better than everybody thing. The fact that you're a Christian, you're the Pope, doesn't mean that you can't go to a club or a bar and sip water or even have a hot cup of tea and sit down and listening to what is going on there. Because nobody is going to sit in the office and tell you what is going on within your team. Certain decisions that management may be making about you will be decided in the pub, discussed in the pub, so that you can also use that to inform your decision-making process about what you're going to do with yourself. But a lot of us don't do that. I remember when I used to work in England, we used to go to the pub was like 5 minutes from the office. And so, maybe once a month we'd all go out and people will be giving me this evil eye because they know that I go to church. And then these people are going to the pub and I'm going along with them. Doesn't mean that I'm going to be having the BS and the Guinnesses and everything of this life. No. I'm sat there, I'm listening to what is being said. They're talking about some strategic thing that is happening, and you're sat there thinking how this decision they're making, how it's going to affect you, so that you are 10 steps ahead of the game all the time. But if you sit back, because we are taught to be quiet, we are taught not to have an opinion, be indifferent, don't express yourself, don't say what is bothering you, and just be there and be quiet, then you're not going anywhere. I have said it, I can't even count how many times. And it wasn't because of the upbringing necessarily, but it was more to do with my family are very private people. And so today, my parents look at me on social media. I don't think they don't watch me. They do. And people tell them, hey, so this girl, this daughter of yours that you had she always has her head down. She's always very quiet. Is this what she can do? Oh my God. Why? Because you move from a place where you're not allowed to have a voice or express it too much into a different place. And now you incorporate and integrate yourself into the environment in which you're in. We live in Canada. You live in Germany, England, France, name it, the States. People want to hear what you have to say too. You're not supposed to just be that person that just sits there passive. Like when you're just sat there and people are trampling all over you and making decisions that are going to affect your very life, and you're not doing anything about it. Express yourself. What's going to happen? Just be respectful, empathetic and compassionate, as my sister talked about, but people want you to have an opinion. You go out and people are ordering this. Ekwamwa, what do you want? You just order for me. Whatever, you know me, and you know what I like. Just order anything. What do you mean by order anything for me? Right? How do I know whether you like your chicken poached or grilled? Have an opinion, right? And express that opinion. It is all these little social skills and things that we are lacking in our community. And it's why other communities have the added advantage. I'm going to say this. One of the things that I absolutely love about my brothers and sisters in Nigeria, from Nigeria, is that no matter what it is, they have confidence. My goodness. Self-confidence. Self-confidence. They could be out of it and be wrong. Their answer could be absolutely the worst possible answer. But self-confidence they have. They will sell you anything because of self-confidence. But me, I don't want to say anything. No, I don't want any trouble. I don't want anybody to know that this. You don't want, you're suffering. Auntie Ya says, ask questions. Ask questions. You don't even know. And me, all this Oyibo food now, they just go and put cream on everything. How do you know? Have you even tasted it before? No. But you've already concluded now Oyibo food, no, it's not, the sweet. So you won't even try it. So you just want to stick to your same old banku and fufu and jollof rice all the time. Like egusi, you don't want to try anything else. What kind of person are you? These are the things. These are the limiting beliefs and the limiting things that we are doing, the aura that we put out there. It's why people trample over you. Because if you're going to be given opportunity and you're not going to express yourself, well, we'll decide for you then. Because you're telling by your attitude that whatever goes. So we'll do anything goes now. When the time comes and they have to get rid of some people, you've shown that you don't really care. This job you are in, if you get it, fine. If you don't get it, fine. So you don't want it, so you don't have it. Right? Have an opinion and express that opinion. People may not like it, but it is your opinion. You express it respectfully. You say it with tact at the right time because you're using emotional and mental intelligence to say it where it needs to be said. And you're a winner. Why a lot of us not in management? It's not because of anything. And I've worked here for 50 years and I have more experience than Ikuamwa. I have a PhD and she's only a degree holder. It has nothing to do with educational qualifications necessarily. What is Ikuamwa like compared to me? She listens. She's always asking other people how she can help them. So they're seeing that she's showing leadership skills, that I have all the qualifications, but I'm trying to say, yes, I know how to type better than she can, so I should get the job. Management has nothing to do with intellect and everything to do with interpersonal skills and how to work with people. Even if you don't know what you're doing, you can hire your subordinates to do the technical aspects of your job, as long as you, the leader, knows how to lead your team to succeed. Ekuamwa, please end this for me before I start going on, because we'll be here forever.
Okay. So one of the things that Winsika was talking that really touched me, that brought memory to me, is some of us, if you're listening and you're a parent, okay? I remember a story of one time, this is like a really long time ago, and we had decided to go out to eat. And we had a friend join us. And not knowing that was the person's first ever outing in a proper Oyibo restaurant, where we actually had to use cutlery to eat. And this person did not know how to use the cutlery, where to hold the fork, where to hold the knife, and everything, right? So it was just like, I was just sitting there and I was just in disbelief, right? I couldn't believe it. I'm like, because growing up, all of these things were like, for me, it was just like, it was taught to me, so I was just like, hey, this one there, I did have some to me. I don't know, right? So it was just awkward for me, right? And I could definitely tell you, this same person, even though they are well educated right now, they're struggling in the employment field. doesn't have a stable job, everything is falling apart, right? It's because the parents did not even, if you're a parent, please, every once in a while, take your child to a proper restaurant. Let's stop all the excessiveness, especially we that in the diaspora. Let's stop the excessiveness of anything. The only thing I would think about is our village that is in the middle of nowhere. That in fact, every day children are being born in that village that don't know your name, don't even recognize you, but you can't spend some good solid money on your child to take them to a proper restaurant. You can buy them McDonald's, that's good, but McDonald's comes in a bag. When they get their first job, they have to go. I remember a few years back, I had a job, and that job, every 2 weeks, we go out to eat. Every 2 weeks. Anytime we had clients comes in and we sign a contract with clients, we all march straight from our desk straight to the restaurant and to very high-end posh restaurants. So you are here thinking about your child getting an education, but you're not preparing them to have the emotional intelligence and the social skills for them to actually succeed in that job. Because when they go to job, they're not going to write, they're not going to be doing multiple choice there. They have to now reproduce, bring all the things that they've learned from home, from school, and come and put it out there in the workplace. So imagine that same person now going to sit there in that restaurant where the only food they have the most is all Oyibo food. How are they going to comport themselves? Because you know that somebody who might be your manager, the person might just being discussed by you alone is a turn off for them. And that alone can just lead to you being dismissed from work, right? These are very vital things that we must learn. And we must pass it. If you did not get that opportunity, be intentional about giving that opportunity to your child. And if you're listening to us and you are even in Africa, please, once in a while, take your family to the restaurants. Let your child know that they are vital, that they are important. Like me, I would say, like when I was a child, my dad would take me out. You just the two of us. I remember my dad, there was this restaurant in Circle. My dad used to take me. And that woman, the jollof there was so good. But it was a proper restaurant that you go, you sit down, they set the table. So as young as I was, I still remember my dad doing that with me, right? So it's very important that regardless of where we are, even how much money we have, whether we are poor, even if you don't have enough money, you should just be doing susu. That this is what I want to do with my family at least once a year. Right? Take my children. If you're separated from your wife, you're separated from your husband, still do it. It doesn't matter. Don't wear single motherhood or single fatherhood as a way that because of that your whole life is over. It's not over. You can still do many great things that can impact your child, impact yourself, transform your life. If you don't go where everybody else is going, if you don't mingle, how do you hope to succeed? If you isolate yourself, if you don't build the network, the self-awareness, the self-regulation that you need, how can you be able to think about what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And what can I correct? And how can I move forward? Right? So all of these things are important. These are things that Sike and I, we want to just really bless our community. We really want to share the things that we are learning ourselves so that all of us can benefit as a community, learning to work with it as a team, learning to show empathy. Don't look down on somebody because the person is illiterate. The person who is illiterate can maybe teach you how to make puff puff. The person who is illiterate maybe can show you how to make better banga soup. So don't look down on anybody. Everybody is essential in their own way. So show emotional intelligence. Exercise it at all times, wherever you are, whichever place that you go. Don't undermine anybody, right? Because life in itself can always flip. Life can flip anytime, any day, any minute. So let's exercise emotional intelligence so we can be successful this year. Tika, maybe we should share the link so people can come in and then share
I've
one or two
shared
things
it.
before go.
I've shared it several times and invited people to come join. I'll show it. I'll put it on the screen and I'll share it one last time whilst
Yes.
you wrap up Ikwama because
Yes,
yeah.
and if you are having troubles using the link on Facebook, please go and join using YouTube. Okay, sometimes the link does not work on Facebook, so if you're having trouble, you want to join us, you can just use the link by going to Sika Educate on YouTube and clicking on the link. We are live there as well. Okay, so what I would say to conclude is that if we want to live a successful life, a life that is impactful, a life that is meaningful. And even if we also want to live long, we talk about stress, right? If we want to live long, we must exercise emotional intelligence. And we should also make sure that we don't make the same mistake. We don't let culture put us down. Culture is a beautiful thing. But at the same time, you are not in Africa. You are in the diaspora. You are in the place where a child at the age of 1 year knows how to press your parent phone, know how to dial some numbers, know how to do a whole lot of things. Don't push down your children. Teach them to be self-confident by encouraging good, positive, emotional intelligence in your home. Okay, by practicing all those things that we talked about. Tika has it in the comments. If you lost it, you can revisit it. You can re-listen to this and jot them down. And one of the things I would tell people, if you are here and you're listening to us and you have self-esteem issues because of what people have said to you, because of what people have looked down on you, practice positive affirmation. 5 minutes every day. When you wake up, you say to yourself, I can do it. I am created in the image of God. There's nothing that I cannot do. I can do the impossible, So all those good positive affirmation, you can write them and put them on your walls so that in a sticky note, even just so that you are always being reminded of the positive things that you can do, the things that you are capable of doing. So those are the things I would tell anybody. If you are having self-esteem issues, self-confidence issues, read books that will encourage you, that will help you. Now, there's so many ways that you can read books. There's so many audiobooks available, even on YouTube for free. Subscribe to Audibles, please invest in yourself. I cannot stress this enough. I know we spoke about this as part of our goals for 2023 is to invest in ourselves intellectually. There are some of us who have written books. Connect with them and, read those books. It's going to help you. It's going to transform and change your life, and encourage your own children as young as they are to read. Encourage them to read, to adopt literacy as part of their daily life. So that's what I would say to conclude.
I don't even have anything else to say. So, my darling, if you have any last word, this is the time to say it, Sister Kwamwa. Otherwise, and before you go, I actually want you to talk about your nonprofit before you leave. Yeah.
So if anybody is not joining us, what I would say is, so I do have a nonprofit organization, and it's also based on education as well. So our main goal is really to encourage young Black kids, regardless of background, to really focus and harness some skills in the areas of science, engineering, mathematics, and technology. We want to expose them early. So if you have children between the ages of 8 to 17, please check out my website. I realize that we put .com. It's actually .ca. So it's aejf.ca. Check out our workshops that are coming. See which ones you can register your children for if you live in Calgary. Okay. We are planning to house a few other things online as well. So most likely follow us, like our page, which is AEAJ, sorry, on Facebook. You can like our page because we post all our coming up workshop on there. You can also follow us on Instagram as well, AEJF Canada. You can follow us on Instagram as well. Yeah, and you can even go to the website and also drop us a message if there's any questions you have. If you want to reach me, email is info@aejf.ca. If you want to email me to reach out to me about anything that you want to talk about, please. I'm interested in the next generation. We want them to be self-confident. We want them to be able to compete with the Asians, okay? We want them to compete and excel in the diaspora across the world. We see them when you go to America, Asians are doing really well. You go to Europe, Asians are doing really well. So we see them prospering in the land that they were not born in. We can do the same also by starting with ourselves, dealing with our own selves, and also helping our children as well. Thank you.
Oh, my. This has been one powerhouse of an afternoon. I don't know about you, but I have learned so much about emotional intelligence and all the things that are necessary and vital. My big brother, Q Kweku, thank you so much for being here, the original beef commissioner. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate every single one of you and all your support, everything that you have done to support this platform and to get it going. I wouldn't be here without you guys. You are why we are here, so that we are all learning together. We are all growing together. We're all stretching and attaining higher heights together. It's the whole point of this mission. And you know, when you really understand life and you understand that it is always advantageous when you're trying to reach up to take other people with you, because what's the point? Like you've gotten to the top by yourself, and so what? But when you've helped other people along the journey to go that journey with you, and you're all comfortable, everybody is excited and happy and blessed. Are we not all happy? Are we not all at peace? Should we compete with each other? It's only when you think that we all want the same thing. One, two, there isn't enough resources to go around. Like, God is some limited person that if I don't hurry up, the food and the resources will finish before me. So let me push Ekuamua down so that I can go up, and then because I don't want her to go ahead of me. That's a limited mindset. Another one of them that we have. We don't want to support each other. We don't. Why should I come? Why should I go on Ekuamua's page? Why should I do this? Why should I do that? That sort of attitude, it doesn't get you anywhere, right? Supporting each other to become better people. It should be that you're excited to see other people making it and making good gains in their lives. It's so exciting to see. There might be a thing or two that you can also learn from them. And maybe if you would just come up your high horses for a second and actually behave like normal people who also wipe their nyash with toilet paper, maybe you may also humble yourself just a tad bit to learn something from somebody else. The person that you think the least of is the person that you end up learning the most from. Never belittle anyone. With all this money and pomposity of yours, one day you can't ask money to fetch water for you. It is still a human being that you'll be asking to get the water for you. And if we all want to be, I don't want to be the person that cleans the street. When the street is dirty, who should clean it? Right? It is only when you understand life that you show appreciation and are grateful for everybody that is in this life, because it takes all of us to make the world go round. Ekuamua, anything else you got to say? Otherwise, we're done.
Well, one of the things I was going to say, Sika, is that one of the things you always have to know is that don't think that somebody is competing with you. Instead, think of how you can always be exceptional, right? you should know that before McDonald's came out with their burgers, somebody else was also making and selling burgers.
Mm-hmm.
But yet McDonald's is around.
Mm.
Before somebody started selling coffee, Starbucks was still, so there was some people selling coffee before Starbucks decided to come.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Say, what will make me exceptional, right? So don't dwell on the fact that, and if I teach this person and this person, no. That person that you are teaching, you're also going to learn something from the person. The person actually might see that, this one is crooked, though. Maybe you could have done it this way, and you will learn from the person. So you should always think of it that way. And the reason why most of us think otherwise is because we don't have good, positive, emotional intelligence. Like, we are not, our motivation, as we talked about, right? Know that there is room for everyone. There is room for you. There is room for me. There's capacity. And we all have different abilities and talents. That's why you can go, go to the plaza, there is Walmart, right? There will be Superstore, there will be No Fools, there will be Food Basic. All of them are grocery stores, though, but none of them have closed down.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they are all unique in their own way.
That's right. Absolutely.
In fact, when you go there, all of them have the same items. There's the same vendors that are supplying them with the same goods, but yet they all keep thriving. One of them has set their prices high. Some of them, their prices are low. Everybody will go to the one that meets their needs.
Mm-hmm.
So the next time somebody tells you, don't teach somebody something because maybe they might be better than you, remember what I'm saying to you. There are multiple grocery chains, but people still, those shops, grocery stores are still thriving. Mm-hmm. People still go to them. And in the same way, when you knowledge share, mm-hmm. you are gaining knowledge. You yourself are gaining more knowledge. You are building and becoming better than yourself.
Absolutely.
Don't let anybody shut you down. Don't let culture put you down. Don't let culture make you lack confidence in yourself. Don't be afraid to show all the things that God has given to you. And don't be ashamed to exercise good and positive emotional intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my darling. Thank you so much for your time, your presence, week after week after week after week. God richly bless you. May everything that you touch turn to prophetic gold, and everything that you want,
Amen.
with, everything dripping on it. You guys help me say thank you to my sister for being here, being part of the story. Like, she mothers me, feeds me, everything. Like, she's my mom in Calgary, right? I probably wouldn't have persevered to stay in Calgary but for her. And so help me say thank you to her for everything that she has done, not just for me, the family, the page, like everything. Thank you so much, my sister. And guys, please share this video. Please, please, please. If you won't do anything else for me, share the video. Those of you who are sending stars and all of those juicy stuffs, I see you. God richly bless you. I love every single one of you. Antia, thank you so much for your very in-depth comments that brought up other things that we had to talk about as well. Sister Grace, God bless you. Like, God bless every single one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for everything. I love you guys so much. Please share this video. Share this video. I beg of you, so that other people can listen to what we're talking about and educate themselves, and we can all be better people. I love you. Have a fantastic week ahead. May everything that you desire this week be yours. And go out there with better attitudes towards other people and stop looking down on others. Okay? Practice what you preach. So let's all do that this week. I love you. Mwah. Bye.